So, we're not in hell, but they're trying to make hell by supposing that it's somewhere else. This creates like an ignorance shield, part of cognitive dissonance too. But it creates a lack of focus, to say, okay, hell is somewhere else. Hell is over there. Hell is after you die in that area over there, or it's it's not here. And so they do the same thing with heaven. Heaven is somewhere you go after you die. It can't be here. It can't be a state of mind that is always part of the now. Heaven and hell can't possibly be part of the now. Well, I think they are. But you might see that the word carnation or incarnation, you might be able to feel that like myself. It has a feeling of being in the flames of creation, being in the flames, the fires of creation, and the purging into being, and into being a time cell body. But so you might get that sense, of incarnation, like you're in the plasma, in the field of fire. You're in creation. It's like the lightning bolt crack of creation. When physicality occurs, it's a cracking into being. So, we're always like in this pain down here in the lower dimensional, second dimensional and third dimensional body, the physical body, physical life, you have pain. But in any meditation to, astral plane, or any psychedelic trip into higher dimensionality of yourself, higher dimensions, when you cross the mandalas into yourself and into your soul template and so on, when you go within, you don't seem to have the pain there. In those instances, in higher dimensional instances. So it's pretty interesting that the pain is associated with, the positive charge. And that's why I said, in previous videos, I've tried to say organic portals have some relation to positive charge as a static surface virus. You see, and that's part of its nature, part of the surface virus nature. It's like a type of static. I also call it the huzz, H-U-Z-Z, the huzz of the hive mind, the matrix surface virus hive mind. Matrix is like a control system and infection on the dimensions, but the dimensions themselves are good. Do you understand? It's like all of creation is not the bad guy. I don't know, there's been a movement lately of, we're in hell, it's a simulation, don't worry, apathy, apathy, apathy. It's like another way to be apathetic, the simulation theory. Be careful with it, even though reality is simulatory. You've got to do further definition work and define it down further, what it really means. Because meaning is much more complex than I see a lot of people glibly shouting out. I think meaning is much more complex than what a lot of people are saying about, just the the straight up conclusion, okay, this is a simulation, full stop. That's fine even just to say that, but the thing is, it always leads to people using the compromised mind and apathy afterwards, that conclusion. Say, okay, we've found code in physics, zeros and ones. Looks like this place is a computer simulation. No, it's more that computers are a simulacrum of how reality works, do you see? That's like one missing piece of understanding that a lot of these people have. Anyway, I don't want to get into simulation theory. We're going to talk about it soon. So, what was I talking about? Yeah, we're not in hell, but they're creating hell here by ignorance of, the idea that you can create hell and that you are the creator in motion yourself, and that you can create hell or heaven in any instance. There is obviously a spectrum here in duality of good and bad, and so bliss and pain, maybe, the spectrum, bliss and pain. And so by uber positivity or over bliss, you can create a field of ignorance within yourself and a cognitive dissonant state. That can create hell in the world, even just that. There's many ways to create hell, but the way that it's majorly being done by religion is what I was pointing at. And that's by the way of, saying, okay, hell is someplace you go to, and so don't worry about what we do here, and especially when it's tied in with all the other crap and rigmarole of the Bible, like that's been taken out of context at least. Some of the stuff in the Bible's been rigmarolled into out of context states, like humans have dominion over this place. Yeah, we sure do, because we're the concrescents, we're the most capable. So we have dominion, all right, over the plants and the animals, but that does not conclude and equal to, treat them unempathetically and, slaughter them all. You know what I mean? And to act like, they're all just lower. And even though that might be the case in a way, it's not right to jump from, okay, we have dominion because of our capability, to we have dominion, so let's, use it all until it's dead. And that's what I find a lot of those type of people, religious people, unconsciously are doing. They don't see how they're sucking the earth dry themselves, and the whole society, and most of society is based around religion, if you really look into it. Back to the point. Well, this is all part of the point, but it's a lack of, it's like a focus that, it's somewhere else happening to someone else. It's part of the crisis of consciousness that we're undergoing. We've been very sleepy in the Kali Yuga. It's very sleepy times, and with out of context information and sleepiness, look what we've done. We've almost killed the planet. We've gone a bit too far. I mean, you can make everything that we've made without doing as much damage as we have done. Because, for instance, you can make a city. Fine, make your city, your concrete jungle. But the thing is, you don't have to do it the way that we have done it, in such a bland, tasteless architecture that doesn't even need to be done. What are we, Nazis or what? If you look at the resonance, you know, who's in charge, it's pretty obvious to tell who's in charge in society, you know. Maybe the Nazis did spread around the world. No, you know what I mean though. Like, the resonance is there of that. And, for instance, we can make, you know, renewable buildings, you know, like we're all planning to do that now. But we could have done that to begin with. You know, we could have mimicked nature and, I don't know, made buildings have shade on top, like a tree shades its roots out. You know what I mean? Lessen the air conditioning bill, and just less synthetic means, and, you know, more like mimicking nature. But, you know, we've got that now. We've got this whole field of biomimicry in robotics and everything coming through. But what I'm saying is that, you know, we could be light years ahead. There's a picture in consciousazine somewhere, unless I deleted the page and didn't put it anywhere else, but I think I've probably put it on a few pages and scattered this picture. Anyway, it's a picture of that, you know, with religion on, or religion on, and it's got a picture of someone in a dungeon being, you know, like tortured, and then religion off, like religion off, and it, on the other side of the picture, on that side of the picture, it's got, you know, humans in a future city with flying cars and stuff. So with the religion off, we'd be well far ahead by now. And I truly believe that, and you can see this happening all the time. Because religion is mass mind control, even if there is a lot of pearls of wisdom, alchemical gold, whatever, in the Bible, wisdom of the ages, all that stuff is in there, I'm sure, in bits and pieces, but it was edited by men of the surface virus. Are you getting the idea yet? It was edited by men of the surface virus. Men of perdition is what I want to say, I guess. But these are organic portal types, or negative souled humans, kings. Kings were controlling people and keeping the populace back. They weren't enhancing reality with their kingdom sitting on their gold throne. It's like now the queen can sell her gold throne to do what she says in her hortatory preaching. Yeah, save the children while I sit on my golden throne. Well, you can just sell the golden throne and we don't need to worry about saving the children, because you've accreted all the energy. It's stuck under your fat ass, bitch. That's basically what's going on in the world today with this 1% of elites. Energy is stuck, you see. Humanity's energy is stuck in a very few places, called the Rothschilds, called the Rockefellers, called the Queen, etc. So we need to unstick these energies, and they're going to find it very hard to let it go, but, you know, the universe is going to make them. In other words, you can't, these people are a black alliance who think they can stand against the flow of the universe. Do you understand that? And it's like the energy has become stuck. So back to this whole thing of, you know, not seeing hell while you're creating hell, basically, is what they're doing. They're creating hell and not seeing that. They're creating hell for other people. And I'm not just talking about the elites, I'm talking about the Black Alliance. And that's all those people who are members of the Black Alliance who are conscious of their role and unconscious of their role. You can be, for instance, a negative souled human like out of the Dr. Gadget cartoon or movie series, and be, you know, the guy in the chair, the villain, that evil dude, stroking the cat He's got his transhumanistic sort of robotic arm as well, by the way. And, you know, he's a negative-souled human, or I've said in the past, Robotnik from Sonic, you know. There's many examples, but it's always the evil dude, the main guy who is the negative-souled human. And, you know, these are the people who are conscious of their role. But then there's the unconscious, where it's maybe even a light worker who's, you know, giving out misinformation, even by accident, just because they don't do their own due diligence and they're a bit stupid or something, you know, and they haven't researched something in depth or whatever, and they're passing around the wrong information. That's an unconscious role, but you're still part of the Black Alliance. Then there's the person who's completely apathetic to all this, says there's no war between the dark and the light, there is no psychic 4D organic portal demon angel war, none of this. And that person, you know, chooses the side of the oppressor, of the person oppressing everyone, the oppressor. That person is choosing the side of the oppressor just via their indifference and apathy, just via doing nothing and taking no side. You've taken the side of the oppressor. And so that's kind of another unconscious role in the Black Alliance. And that's you choosing to be family of the dark, maybe even, if you just want to not take action. That's a conscious role again. You're choosing not to join the family of light and forward flow of the universe. Then that's a conscious role for you to be part of the Black Alliance, you see. Because in that same way, you're then apathetic or indifferent, and you're choosing the side of the oppressor again, but in a conscious manner. So there's conscious and unconscious, you know, roles in the family of dark or the Black Alliance. And today I just wanted to draw your attention to the massive unconscious cycles that we've been in of oppression. But then there's within your own mind, your own self-oppression. And I'll leave it to you to look there, you know, after the video. Are you oppressing yourself with other people's thoughts? Now, especially the compromised mind uses the surface virus Black Alliance thoughts of depressive thoughts on yourself, the collective guilt program. They want you to feel guilty for being different. Organic portals are afraid to be different, and they want you to feel guilty for being a souled human and being so different. You know, there's many ways that this works out, but that's a huge one, the guilt program. Yeah, look, there's many ways. I can't keep talking about this right now because I can tell my memory is about to run out. I'm at 18 minutes here, it's on the mobile. I can tell the memory is about to run out. So I really just wanted to mainly draw your attention to that picture I talked about, religion on and religion off, and advancement, because religion is a mass perpetrator of frequency control. You can't do this, you can't do that, because who said? Because God said, and God like exists in a book. Well, you know, no, I'm not that stupid, but it's one way you could see it. You know, you're referring to God as a book. I'm referring to God as the universe, and it's going to keep evolving, and change is the only constant, and the moment of now and realization and being awake in it. And I'm talking about all these massive universal aspects as God and consciousness, not referring to a book. So, look, I just really want to draw the attention to, I don't think we are in hell, and there's been a recent movement of that people are saying, you know, the third dimension is hell. No, the third dimension is the living dimension. This is not hell, this is the living dimension. Notice when someone dies, they go somewhere else. We're in the living dimension, okay? That's the third dimension, is the living dimension. When they die, they go somewhere else. So you can see the spirit leave and everything. So the main thing to think about, though, is how people are creating hell by saying it's somewhere else. And then you can't possibly be creating it here. But I'm telling you, you're creating it here by frequency controlling your will over another. Basically control. And, you know, the Archons love this control. Because when you feel controlled, you get stressed. And they love your stress, remember? It's louche. And loose energy. It's loose energy. It's louche. Heightened hormonal content. Stress you out. They love it. So, you know, this is all tied together. The Archons, hell, ignorance, the end of history, Kali Yuga, Satya Yuga, blah, blah, blah. It's all tied together. Just the realization of that this is not hell, this is the living third dimension, and however, they are definitely trying to create hell here. Via ignorance, that I've mentioned several times, and also via pain. You know, there's so much pain. People are in so much ungrounded states, unearthed. You're not connected. You're not negatively charged. Negative charge is no charge. You're not charged up. You know, when you get angry, you get charged up. So there's a lot of pain out there. All pain is associated with positive charge. I mentioned it earlier as being part of the static of the surface virus as well. And sticking you to the surface of your body. And you'll become more in pain the more concretized you become. So you want to lean back into the cosmic flow and unconcretize. Don't become a concrete gargoyle. Okay, so in part 2 of This Is Not Hell, but they are trying to create hell here, I'm going to entertain different line of thought that how might this place be hell? And you say, Ben, aren't you then contradicting yourself in the first part of the video? No, because I am not the thoughts, I'm merely entertaining lines of thought, okay? So we're going to switch it up and say, okay, how could you consider this place hell? How could you consider it hell? Excuse me, it's near freezing and like 6 a.m. and I've got a bit of sort of phlegm in the back of my throat laying down still. So I'm going to be clearing my throat a little. Okay. So, you know, someone quoted, excuse me, someone once said that other people are hell. Someone once said this, you know, other people are hell. When I first read this, I just, I laughed. Because, you know, it's just funny that someone got to that stage of anger, you know, and annoyance. They were just so annoyed, they just burst it out. It was beheld and said. So, let's inspect that element. All pain is associated with positive charge. The organic portal is an unconscious body, and positive charge is surface static. Okay, you might think of it as one-dimensional, not even really part of the second dimension, just full-on one-dimensional atrophy into death. So, by that measure, you could see this place as a lower plane, because, you know, if you understand the dimensions, yes, this is a lower plane, second and third dimension. And then I'm talking about first dimensional atrophy and static, like static on the TV screen. You know, the picture is trying to come through, it's trying to come through coherently, but there's too much static on the screen. You've got to change the antenna, tune in to a higher dimension, you see. Inward, onward, and upward. And, you know, when you have less static, you're more grounded and anionized in negative charge because you're barefoot grounding, for instance. You see the picture in your third eye more clearly. Any vision you have, you will see more clearly. And the pain, the positive charge, the stuff stopping you getting to sleep at night, because the number one cause of not getting to sleep or no good sleep is pain. Jesus, cold here. Uruguay, 2019. Anyway, so the positive charge is pain, and the organic portal, they're an unconscious body, remember. So pain is hellious. You know, pain is not associated with heaven or heavenly feeling, is it? Pain does not exist in the seventh dimension, post-sixth dimensional gate of heaven, or geometrical dimension. It's where a gate would be. It's a geometry. It's kind of like how you can see the sixth dimension too. You're crossing the gate into heaven, and seventh dimension is that feeling, that you know, airy-fairy light feeling of heavenly nature. That's seventh dimensional. And that's the Reiki rays, you know, of Reiki. And it's like air, or thinner and higher light compared to the fifth dimensional light, which is more like water and more heavy than the seventh dimensional air light, you might say. Now, anyway, we you know, remember I mentioned talking right down to the first dimension, to the static positive charge, or positrons. So, you know, it's interesting when you are in this place with organic portals, and, you know, in the third dimension it is organic portal land, because it is the anthropoid monkey body, our current evolution where we're up to. And we're going to robots a bit, but still basically anthropoid body. And these people are unconscious bodies. Now this is where it really ties in, because they are, I don't know if you noticed, you know how everyone goes on about organic portals as distractory, you know, distractions for the, you know, the Great Work Path, or the Yellow Brick Road, you might call it. You know, doing Magnus Opus Great Work kind of thing, not just having a life where you don't give anything to the species. You just came, you partied, and you died. You were just the body. There was no deeper universal insight that you left for the species, known as great work. No models of reality, etc. So these people, these organic portals, and everybody who is acting like them, whether they're a negative soul or an inured soul, doesn't matter, because if you're acting like an organic portal, you're going to get into the same place as them. And for this line of thought, we're calling that, you know, this lower realm, and some people are trying to say this is hell. And so this is where we can associate it with. How can we consider this place hell? Well, this is the only way I can see it, with this pain and the positive charge, you see. And so they're an unconscious body. And do you notice that, you know how people call them distractory? Do you notice that they're trying to rip your spirit apart? What is depicted in pictures of hell? Your spirit getting ripped apart for eternity. Now, what could eternity be then? Well, if you continuously, important word, continuously, reincarnate, well, then you're always eternally in this unconscious positive charge state until you start to pop out and become conscious, accept the fourth dimensional feeling body, then straight to a fifth dimensional light body. And, the light body is complex and multidimensional, but that's like first instance of light body, fifth dimension. When you ascend to that level or become conscious to that level or that dimension of yourself. So this is the way we could consider this place to be hell. That they are unconscious bodies in pain, and all pain is associated with positive charge, and positive charge is like static. It's like unknowing or not knowing. That's not gnosis. It's the opposite of gnosis. And I'm not talking about any Gnostic readings. I mean, pure universal gnosis. Like when I hear a word, if it's a spirited word, I'll be able to hear the Gnostic ring of the word and what it really means. And often the meaning has nothing to do with the etymological root. It's something completely like phonetic. Often you could say a word and phonetically, and then you see more of its meaning. You know how everyone's saying like believe has lie in it, be lie, lie, to not be honest. So you know how everyone's going around saying that, belief, don't believe things, it has lie in the word. And people are doing a lot of phonetic speech and Gnostic looking into words like this. That's what I'm talking about. The Gnostic ring of a word gives you a deeper meaning. That's a bit of an example, that the word believe and how everyone's going around saying, it's got the word lie in the middle of it. And everyone's trying to say, surpass your beliefs, basically, they're trying to say. Don't just believe what you hear, and so on and so forth. So anyway, to tie that back in, what was I saying? I forgot why we went on into that, the Gnostic ring of a word. I forgot why we went into that line of thought. I guess you can rewind the tape. I just want to continue. So this is how we could see this place as hell. If you are continuously reincarnating into a pain body where you're unconscious and it's continuous, you're continuously being reincarnated. And carnation is one of these phonetic words to me. To carnate is not just carne, like here in Spanish in Uruguay, it's carne means meat. Well, are you not in a meat suit body? This body's like a suit to anybody who's spiritually awakened. We all call it that, the body suit, And so I find this interesting because this all ties in, because it's the bodysuit who experiences the pain. It's the anthropoid monkey bodysuit, not your spirit, that experiences the pain. You see? So these dimensions that I'm always talking about, of how, matter is densified and essentially created, or how physical reality comes about, light is slowed and densified. So these dimensions I'm always talking about definitely tie in. And then back to this word of carnation or incarnation. You're inside the meat, inside the carne. Carne here means meat. If you walk into a shop here, you say, have you got carne? You say, tienes carne. You got, meat. They'll point you to the part of the shop they've got the meat. So incarnation to me not only means in the meat bodysuit, but for some reason I get a visual of like fire and this positive charge idea that I'm floating through this video. So you see this all tying in? This is how we could consider this place to be hell. But notice, it's not real fire, but that fire is the pain. You know, when you've experienced pain, it's like fiery. When you're completely at ease, go sit on the beach for, 2 hours. And notice the reduction in inflammation and pain and fire-like feeling. That's the positive charge has come off you. All the positive charge gases are starting to release from your body and so on. And you'll notice the pain is going with that positive charge. Very interesting, no? And the positive charge is only associated with the meat suit body, which is it's a second dimensional mineral body. Okay? And you have a third dimensional life, or a zonal reality. That's you and your life. Ben Cowenberg from Consciousazine, So this is how this all ties in. And so in that regard, we could see this place as hell. Because you're in the carnation fires. For some reason when I say the word incarnation, I see less of a meat bodysuit meaning. I see even more, but the meat bodysuit is obvious meaning embedded in there, but I see more of a fiery, crude electrical light is, sparking and causes fires. When you short circuit a circuit and sparks, and this is the idea that's embedded in the word incarnation, what I visually receive when I say the word incarnation. I see, fiery, sparky, electrical, and then body meat suit. So this is what I mean by Gnostic ring of a word as well, not just phonetic, but just it's like you get a vision of the word and everything. You get the vision, you get the telepathic meaning, just like any other vision. And that's the Gnostic ring of a word. Now anyway, let's go back to the start of the video. Someone once said, I don't know who quoted this. I should look it up on Google, because it's a very interesting quote, right? Other people are hell. I never get sick of that quote, it's funny. But true, in a way. Other people cause you a lot of pain. Not necessarily, because you have to consciously pass, P-A-R-S-E, like a computer code passing, the letter 1 to the number 1. Notice they're different form. That's passing. You're also passing, like to pass a soccer ball, you're passing the argument through the code, but you're passing it with your pineal. You pass, P-A-R-S-E, code from the stars into a vision on your septum pellucidum, which is like a screen for the projector of your pineal scintillations. Now, someone once said, other people are hell, and when you talk to someone, you notice that it takes effort. Do you notice that it takes effort to communicate and evolve? A species cannot evolve faster than the communication, but when you communicate, you are in effort. You're passing the code. Passing, P-A-R-S, passing the code to me, Gnostically, gives me this vision of effort and pressing a button, doing something, movement, And in that seems to come some sort of pain. So, it is relative to say other people are hell. Very interesting. This all ties together, right? Very, very interesting. And this is the only way that I can see that we can consider this place, the lower dimension here, what people call the third dimension, as hell, or hellious. And now it's not that, this is really, you don't have to stay here and, you know, reincarnate unconsciously forever, because that might be the state of hell. Continually reincarnating into a pain state unconsciously, where your spirit is ripped apart, is basically the definition of hell. It's just we've got some flames missing in the picture. But as everybody in the organic portal theme movement knows, the demons come through these organic portals predominantly. It's not that souled humans cannot have demon attachments or demons come through them, that too, but predominantly because the organic portal is unconscious, they can't stop it, and the demons just at will can come through them. For a souled human, they've got like spark of consciousness, of self-realization and so on in a higher dimensional fashion, you know, from their higher light body all the way down. And it's more of a, okay, I know what's me and I know what's not me, so if something's coming through me, I know the difference, and perhaps I can start to stop it or cease it or prevent it. But the organic portal doesn't do that. There's no ceasing, preventing. It's just, you know, we know them as an empty vessel because they're unconscious. Consciousness fills the vessel inside. Because they're an unconscious vessel, the demon just basically can step straight into it and become the person, the organic portal. So, I mean, this is all very interesting because they are trying to rip your spirit apart. They're trying to rip you apart here. And in ripping you apart, you become more and more your body. And that's why I say that we have currently on Earth a de-souling, unsouling system. You are not rewarded for your spirited behavior. Come off it. You are rewarded for unspirited behavior, for conformity, for doing as they say, not what you say. Right? This is not your spirit. This is the opposite. You're also rewarded for egoism. Oh, he's got a lot of money. Look at his Ferrari. Oh, I'm going to jump on his dick. So you're rewarded for egoism. Oh, look how pretty I look. He's going to want to marry me. I've got 10 tons of makeup on. You know what I mean? You're always, in every circumstance in this life, in this world, in this third dimension, rewarded for egoism. And the ego is indeed third-dimensionally relative, because the id, or ID, get it, like identification, or id, from the Buddhist concept of higher self. You know, I'm not Buddhist, I'm not really into it specifically, but I get the notion, and I call it indigo. We are indigos. The organic portals are outdigos. They're focused into the outer world. And this is an unconscious focus of sense-stored electrical waves, and sense-stored electrical waves are not consciousness, and they're not necessarily conscious of themselves. It's just a sensed, stored electrical wave. So, you know, you're rewarded continuously for egoism in this world. I think we all know this, and I don't have to go on about it, right? Pardon me. Little hiccup. So I don't think I need to, you know, go on about how you're rewarded for being more ego in this world. I think that's very obvious, isn't it? So this, and you know, the ego is the seed point of sovereignty. That's true, and that's where humanity has evolved to, mainly in the mass context. But then you accept a fourth dimensional feeling body, and then a fifth dimensional light body. So, you know, and that's where consciousness comes in a lot more, because you feel empathically in the fourth dimensional sense what the other person is feeling. So you're accepting a feeling body there. And humanity's going through that now on mass, with, you know, we have billions and millions of people on the move and in pain, and you're going to have to feel for your friend, you know, oh, I feel for you, bro, you know. That's accepting a fourth dimensional feeling body. And, and, you know, that's all this stuff about switching on the vagus nerve. So it has, you know, very dense relation as well to physicality and the nervous system, if you see the nervous system as a physical thing. Now anyway, you see this all ties together because it's your nervous system that also experiences the pain. I always give you this Kundalini technique. Kundalini is fourth dimensional relative. I give you fifth dimensional chi techniques, but I always talk about this Kundalini technique of clearing the middle nervous system, or the ganglion, not the efferent little nerves and not the CNS necessarily, but via, clearing the ganglion, the other two nervous systems clear as well. But this is where your pain thoughts loop on your nervous system. That's where they're looping. That's where the code malfunction is looping. You understand? The thought that they've tried to make you guilt. They've tried to guilt program you. They've tried to make you responsible for this or that. Make you guilty. Make you frustrated and in pain. You see, that's what these organic portals are always doing. Notice it. And that's equivalent to ripping apart your spirit as well. So they're taking you out of your spirit, always trying to lower your context into your ego identity when you're always trying to ascend out of it. You're trying to detach, ascend and all this, So you notice all this ties together, and you also should notice that I am Benjamin Cowenberg from consciousazine.net. Excellent segue, no? Alright, finishing thoughts, let me think. Oh, it's early. So yeah, I think that's interesting. That all ties together. Nothing else really just came there. Maybe I need to wait another minute. Something else might come to bolster this. But this was just entertaining a line of thought. Now, to tie this to the first part of the video where I said this is not hell, but they are trying to create hell here, this is apt. This is not some inept statement then, and is voided by the second part of the video. You might think that. You might think, oh, well, you completely null and voided the first part of the video with this really good explanation of how this place is hell. No, I didn't. Almost. But no, I didn't quite do that, because in the end, it's them who are, the trivial humans establishing mayhem, not us, the united souls. It's them who are trying, the organic portal people, and everyone who's like an organic portal. It's them who are, wrecking this world and trying to, create it as hell. What I mean is they're trying to create it as only material third dimension, second dimension exists. Are they not? All the, mainstream science even is like that, focusing on physical little stuff, which apparently isn't so physical even, which lays credence to what I'm saying about higher dimensionalities and intangibilities. Yeah, science, take note. Look at what Nikola Tesla said too about advancing science more in the next 100 years if we focus on the immaterial than in all previous centuries put together, if we focus on the immaterial. Even Nikola said it, he was pretty smart. So anyway, this does actually tie together, because they are trying to create hell by saying there isn't this upper dimensional stuff or unstuff. They're trying to say this is all there is, you must be in this pain, and in that way, that ignorance that I mentioned in the first part of the video is creating hell here. I'm running out of space, have to end the video. I have little space left, but the addendi is, okay, so if this is not hell then, Ben, what is it? Well, it's just what it is. It is a matrix, but it is life. This is this universe, It is what it is. But the point is, we cannot be in a hellier state, because you don't have to have the system we have, a scarcity-based system. Because the universe
literally is abundant. How many stars do you know of? I rest my case. Because just from that you can get solar panel, infinite energy just about, or let's say infinite energy, right? And this whole planet's made of diamond and iron ore. There's 6 times more iron ore on Mars, just the neighbouring planet, than Earth. So I mean, this is what they're creating. That's the point of this video, that we're not in hell, but they're trying their damnedest to create it. See, we can be walking in an abundant, lovely state, but they're trying to create the opposite. In essence, with an open third eye, and if you were not in a fear system where you can get your life, you can get killed for doing something. If we weren't in a fear-based system which turns off the reception of the higher light, brings you into body and into the pain and all that, generally we could walk around with, open flow, I call it, or heaven flowing through you.